Welcome to this week's episode of the Dig podcast. Now, it's a very different episode this week. It's brought to you in partnership with the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. You're going to have 7 guests, but don't feel overwhelmed. They're going to be quick fire, 10-minute sessions with each one, giving us the top tips for event planning. So I am the co-founder of the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, and that is along with my friend and colleague Niamh Taylor, who is also the director of Digital 24. We have been running the awards since 2019, and we've just finished our 3rd award ceremony there a few weeks ago, and thank goodness it was a huge success. But since then, lots of business owners and people who are thinking about doing an event or an awards have been reaching out to ask us about different elements of the awards and who did what and how we did that. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could put out all the information in bite-sized chunks on a podcast, so it's there for people. So Niamh and I sat down and looked at what that might look like, and here I am today in my own podcast studio right here in Mad Colour, and Mad were one of the event sponsors, and you'll find out more from them and why they're the best at what they do. As you can see from everything that's around me here, I thought I was only going to get a pop-up banner, but no, I'm actually sitting in my own little studio, podcast studio, which they've created. So there's a lot when it comes to events, and you know, in business now, people are thinking more about events, bringing their community together, creating moments within their business that make them stand out. And it can be a little small event or a huge event like the awards or something even bigger. But regardless, there's so many different things you need to consider when you are going to bring a community of people together, because once you do that, that is an event. So I think you're going to love hearing from all the different businesses. They've got lots of top tricks and tips that you should be thinking about, and also just shine a light on their business, and perhaps you could reach out to them and see, can they help you on your journey of bringing your community together in whatever way that might look like. So yeah, we're going to delve in and we're going to focus on key things, and you might want to get your notepad out. If not, we're taking notes for you, and all will be in the show notes. So get ready to hear from some of the best businesses in Northern Ireland, and they can help you bring your brand and your business to life through an event. I would like to introduce Jamie McMinnis, who's the Managing Director at Mad Colour, and that's where we are today. Anybody that's watching on YouTube will see my fabulous backdrop that we're sitting in front of. We're actually in a vault, believe it or not. So this is in their beautiful new premises here in Belfast. They've relocated because of the expanding business, and they've all this space, and we've turned their vault into a podcast studio. How deadly for the day. So I'm delighted to be here. And Mad Colour, what they helped with the awards and created for the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards was phenomenal, and more than we could ever have imagined. So I'm delighted to have Jamie here sitting beside me. Thank you for this.
Thanks, Caroline. Yeah, it looks great.
I thought we were going to get like a little pop-up banner, and I came in and created a whole studio, but I think that's a testament to how you guys do things, Jamie. So what is Mad Colour for people who are listening?
Well, for me, Mad Colour is creativity materialised. So it's just taking your ideas and bringing them to life. And that's what it's all about. So we do specialise in events and exhibitions, but commercial printers for the past 45 years, and we've just evolved into something a bit more. So we've got our own design studio, we've got our own the creatives, spatial layout, do fit out now, so, and then through to print. So you've got your traditional sides of litho and digital printing, but now also in the wide format sign and display. So things like these big backdrops, your awards, and lots of different things that we've got up our sleeves for how to make people stand out at events.
Well, that's what I think we need to talk about today, because there's business owners listening of all sizes, Jamie, that run events both in their businesses and actually taking them out to other venues like we did with the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, and everybody wants to stand out now. We don't want the old way.
No,
and I think that it's just reconfirmed for me this morning when I rocked up here and there was a whole team of people creating a podcast studio, when I thought I was just getting a pop-up banner, and how you guys do it differently. So this is the ultimate event planning guide, and we want the ultimate experience from Mad Colour. So for example, do you want to talk us through just for the awards, and then I can give people my thoughts on it as well. When we came to you guys at the start, we didn't want to do things the way they'd always been done.
Yeah. Well, you came to us as a print partner, so obviously there's an expense that people have every year in and around getting prepared and print ready for putting your brand on display and getting your marketing collateral there out with your customers. But beyond that, it's what else can we do with it? How can we stand out? So we'll have a wee bit of a chat with you, take the brief, do a site visit, go out and have a look at the venue, understand what you need to achieve from it. Sometimes we bring partners in for audiovisual work and things, but our team can literally plan that out with you from start to finish. So we have to think about how you make the most of the event by getting the right people there on time, etc. So we have systems that we can use to market them and then remind them. And then once the event's happening, it's getting your branding out there and really making the most of it. It's having some sort of a keepsake that you can give to people to take away with them. And then post-event, following that up and making sure that you convert them from a prospect to a customer, or from an attendee to a nominee. And,
exactly, and definitely, and I'm going to talk about, for anybody watching on YouTube, and if you're not watching on YouTube, you might want to go over to see this. I'm just going to lift the item that everyone has taken away from the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, and what made you guys, like Niamh and I, were blown away by this. So basically, just to give you an idea, every year people got a finalist certificate in the traditional frame, and when we came and said that to you, we were like, people leave them behind. Jamie, we don't want this.
Always the way. There's nowhere to put it.
I know, but your team came up with this brilliant concept of creating our trophies that the winners get into like a takeaway. What's this made out of?
That's a foam PVC miniature version of what you were giving people for the awards. So it was a more economical version, but it gives people that sense of achievement as well, doesn't it? Whenever they've got something to take away with them, and you can put that on display in your boardroom, your office, or your reception areas. So just stand out, make it different.
And that's what, if you are running an event or organising an event or an award ceremony, it's about standing out and making yourself different. And when we worked with MAD, that's exactly what they did for us. And these are like sought after now. Everyone wants theirs. They're coming to collect them at MAD now in the next few weeks as well, for people who weren't at the event. But that, to me, is why you guys stood out. Also, Jamie, site visits. So like when you guys came, I know it wasn't you yourself, it was your team, but they had vision that Niamh and I didn't, as in we could be creating something here.
Like the archway on the way through, and
branding everywhere, but in an innovative, unintrusive way. It was amazing.
Do it within a budget as well, because there was only a certain amount of money that you had, or that we were investing in it, and that's the balance, because there's everybody can come up with ideas, and I think that where we find the joint up approach that we offer stands out is because we're not just thinking about how you can make this amazing design that you can't actually make a reality because it costs too much or it's not possible, and physical properties of it don't stack up. So we've got teams there that will run it through production in advance, so we know that we're offering you what we can actually deliver. And I think then it shows, so.
It absolutely does. And I suppose the top tips there for people are site visits are important, aren't they, when they're working on events with the likes of you guys, because you can see things we can't.
Oh, for sure.
Your expertise.
And you're open to the elements then as well. So you might think of putting a lovely big bow up on the Queen's Arcade like we've done for London's in the past and things, but then it's going to get hit with the wind and the rain and the storms, and like we've got it right now, and we've got their autumn stuff up there at the minute actually, and it's trying to make sure that that's secure, it's robust, it's not going to hurt anybody. So there's so many different aspects of it that just you going out and having a quick nosy sometimes doesn't cover it. So it's getting the right people and the right heads around it.
Absolutely. So that's your top tips, is site visits. Think about budget, and getting someone like MAD involved means there's that extra stand out from the crowd and stand out from your competitors with things. And just to jump in, I used to have a shop, and I always wanted a big red bow around my shop, Jamie. And I always seen it like in London and New York and all. And now, since I've got to know you guys, like you do, like for London's, for example, that big red, wasn't it London's that had the big red? No, Queen's Arcade.
Yeah, Queen's
big
Arcade
red
was London's.
Bow around the building, and that's what they do, and create these unbelievable concepts for businesses, campaigns that makes them stand out. All the point of sale stuff you do as well is unbelievable.
Yeah, big into the point of sale now with a couple of cosmetic brands, and a couple of local businesses are really starting to grow and become successful. So it's amazing how the intricacies of the design have evolved. For what we were, yes, we had a design and typesetting team to do brochures and booklets and things like the IFA programs that were run out. But whenever you get into the spatial design, we're literally plotting out laser map drawings for where a mascara will go inside a shelf. We're virtualizing it so that they can see it before it's made. and then we're prototyping it and taking it right the way through to delivery and installation. So, I mean, yeah, really exciting, and it's nice to see that we've been able to establish a new market, because there's no doubt about it, print is on the decline for the standard commercial print. All your booklets and policy notes and everything have all gone digital, so we had to reinvent ourselves, and so far so good.
Oh my God, absolutely have. Like, when the next time you go into a retail store and you see those just point of sale displays and all, I would say most times MAD has had something to do with it, or they're part of the campaign, but I was in their warehouse, like they wrapped the Deal Farm lorries, and I know we're totally getting off topic here, but you know, the makeup displays, the counters, and unbelievable. So if you have an idea, what's your strapline again? Creativity
Materialized, yeah.
Whatever you need for your event, for your business, in that line of creativity, like merchandise, display, packaging, all of that, MAD Colour. So I'm going to link their business in the show notes. And where can people find out on social? What's your social handle?
Hashtag we use is Colours of MAD. So if you want to look that up, but MAD Colour, we should be top of the pops there and Google and things. So just punch it in.
And on Instagram, Facebook, we'll put all the links on the show notes anyway. And definitely reach out to the team if you have this burning idea, like a big bow around your building, like I always had. They can make it happen. Thank you so much for being on the Dig podcast, Jamie. Our next guest on today's podcast is Nick Hutchinson from B&L Productions. Now, anyone that follows the podcast and me on social will have heard of B&L Productions probably every week for the last, I don't know how many years that I personally have been working with them, but for the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards since 2019, our very first one, and now there are people. It could not happen without B&L Productions. So I know a lot of people that perhaps are considering doing an event, maybe think that this kind of conversation is above them because maybe they're only starting out, but production is your event. Your event is a production. So you need to be thinking about key things, and B&L Productions work with loads of different people, from the president of the United States to the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards to the person that's just starting out as well. So it's definitely a conversation that I know that you're going to get a lot of value from. And we have Nick sitting here beside me. Thank you for being on the Dig podcast, Nick.
Thank you.
Is this your first podcast rodeo?
This is my first. Oh my goodness, I'm very nervous. I hope this is the first and the last.
Oh no, don't say that. Nick is the managing director at B&L Productions and is here today. He worked very closely with us on the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. So Nick, everyone's listening. What do B&L Productions do?
We've got 3 departments. One is in film production, so that might be making social media videos or TV ads or highlight videos of events. And we'll do the casting, storyboard, scripting if that's needed as well. We've done things for the tourist board and all that type of stuff. The other department is audio-visual, so that's like staging, lighting, screens, microphones, all those types of things where we're turning up at 6 in the morning to set it up for a show that night and taking it out that night. And the other department is the events production. So that's kind of more organising the events, booking venues. We're in the middle of doing, I think, 13 light switch-ons for councils across country, which is road closures, security, first aid, staging, bands on the stage, entertainers walk about 60 markets, looking at their insurance documents, their hygiene, making sure council are happy, and then on the day building all that and kind of managing it. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of some of the things that keeps us out of mischief.
And I think that I have kind of dipped into all of those aspects throughout all my work and relationship with you guys. But for the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, it was the
live department.
The live department. So we did the planning, like we got the venue,
which was great.
Well,
thank goodness.
You know, we worked our way through it, but it was great to know we had your support there if we needed that. But we kind of took that, so you can get you for different elements of events. Is really what my point is there. So, talk to us about the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. What you guys did for us there, in case people are wondering.
Yeah, well, I suppose maybe 3-4 months out, we're chatting, meeting in the venue to see what's doable. I think that's always a good time to get a general consensus of what the vision is for you guys and how we can do that affordably. And then I think that's the bit where we start to work out budget, what's going to work, what's not going to work, to try and scale it. And then a series of meetings looking at what type of entertainment you might have on, how the room should be dressed, how it should be lit. Do you need handheld microphones? We had saxophones with wireless microphones and all that type of stuff. So going into the nitty gritty of the show. On the day, I think we arrived at 7:15, and there was an event done the night before. There's chairs everywhere, trying to get all the cases in. We worked with a number of suppliers who specialise in some of those things, with the LED wall, Oisin, who's on the podcast as well here today, and then they flung the truss on the ceiling, moving lights. Then we had the speakers, the microphones, and trying to create, I think the vision of that one was like futuristic, so how can we do that with audio visual? So that was really fun. Then we created the content for the LED wall for the intro. And we tried to have everything ready for, I think, like 2:30 when some of the artists started to come in for the rehearsal. And then we had about a good hour to rehearse. So it meant for people who were there and saw the monkeys coming through the room, we could see, well, what's the pre-show? What's the lighting look like for the doors opening? What happens when the show's about to start? How do we change the mood and feel in the room so people draw their attention to the stage and they're not, mingling around the table just as much? And yeah, then just making all those little elements come together to a big opening. I think a big opening and a big closure at your event is always really key, because those are the things that
people remember.
Yeah, I think so.
I know. And I think that the production element of it, you think you can handle it yourself. Well, I never thought I could handle Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, but I mean, there's so many moving parts to an event or a show like that you need to, I feel like on that scale, you definitely need a production team there. Like audio is so important. Like we would have came to you and go, there's certain areas of the room, perhaps if someone's saying, so we would have tweaked, you would have tweaked there and then.
Yeah.
And that was so important for us. What else do people need to think about then that are organising events when it comes to production, Nick?
I think a great thing is letting, getting it booked in as soon as possible. Even knowing 6 months to a year in advance, it's great, it's locked in, we're booking the best team for you, for example. But if you're going into a venue, try to get a lot of those suppliers, even block out 2 hours and bring in the different teams all together and separately, even for your time, who's organising it, so they can look at all the things to consider. I think it's always good to figure out your budget as well. If you're selling tickets, for example, how much can you make, and what do you need to divide out, for example. So sometimes people come to us and they want to run a big festival and book big bands and staging and catering and generators and security and all that type of stuff, and they're saying, and this is the first time we've done this, and we're hoping to apply for funding. It should come a month before, and I'm just going, oh please, I'm trying to go, this is a massive risk, don't scale it back, things like that. So I suppose manage your own expectations, and I would suggest start small if you haven't done something big, and just continue to grow it. I think another good idea is after the event is do a debrief with the different teams and just
trash it out,
get it all down on paper, and then a number of months, or when you're starting to plan the next one, get those notes and go through it. Because as you start to refine all those little small things, you end up getting a really smooth event. And I think also if you've got good suppliers and you've got a good event that runs annually, where possible, try to keep those teams and things, or even the venue, it means every year it gets a little bit easier, gets a little bit cheaper, gets a little bit slicker.
Yes.
So I think some of those things are good. And if you want, I've got a couple of last minute tips.
Oh yes,
for
go.
people. This is if someone's just running their own event, or they're working with other people. These are little things that we kind of do to make it easier. One thing is your phone and being on, it just dying mid-show. So a lot of phones have got those wee magnet things on the back because you're on the phone all day, so your phone doesn't die. There's been so many times when some of our clients have lost their phones, they've set it down. A lot of ladies don't maybe have pockets when they're wearing their nice dresses and stuff like that. So a wee bag, my wife runs events as well, and she'll have a wee bag where I'm like, keep it all in there, keep your running order in there, and all this type of stuff.
So true.
Or if you're outdoor in an event, a wee bum bag, or stuff like that. Little laser tool, Amazon, £15, so you can measure walls. What size is this going to be?
Oh, I need to get one of these.
Yep, get one.
Okay,
Order today.
we'll put the link in the show notes if you give me the link for that then.
Unfortunately, it's not
affiliated.
I'm getting nothing from it.
We'll put it in the show notes because that's a great, because I seen you all using that and I was like, I wish I had one of them. Okay.
And there's a great one called, it's an app called Magic Plan.
Okay.
little app, and you can literally go and pinpoint all the corners of the room, and it will create like a 3D model of the room, so you can see what your capacity is and all that type of stuff. Because some venues don't have a kind of
scale.
the scale thing like that. WhatsApp groups are obviously great. Get all the teams in.
Yes.
There's another great thing we've started using called read.io. I think it's called. It's a
Artificial intelligence.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And it will join all your Zoom calls and all your meetings and Teams, and it will record in minutes all the conversations. It'll create action points, record it and stuff like that. That's quite helpful.
Me another one.
Last one. This is photograph everything. See before doors open, and make sure your locations are tagged on. So see how everything looks, where was things placed, because so many times you're referring back, and where was that and how was it done? And it means you can just type in, for example, Crown Plaza, in your, I'm talking about iPhones here, so
Yes.
you can type in your photos, Crown Plaza, and it'll give you all the photographs from then, and you can go refer back. So
You're
I think
so
that's
organised.
That'll do
That's
you.
why you are good at
That'll
what
do
you do. Oh my God, my camera roll wouldn't even know where to start. But that's such a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Gonna put that into practice in my life in general. So thank you for those tips. All those pieces of kit will be in and any kind of apps or anything will be in the show notes. If anyone is sitting listening and they're wanting to run an event, they're wanting to create some kind of impact within their business, to reach out to B&L Productions for more advice and guidance on what that might look like to work with you guys, how do they do that, Nick? How do they find you guys, or where do they reach out to?
Just our website,
Yeah.
bnlproductions.co.uk, and all the social links are on there. It will normally email to our admin team, and they'll pass it on to the relevant head of department. And I think a phone call or a Zoom call, just thrash it out. We'll give our suggestions and can be of help in any way.
Yes, so thank you for being on the Dig podcast, Nick.
No problem.
The Dig podcast needs your help. Did you know that we have thousands of people download the podcast each week, but still people haven't subscribed or followed on the channel? So I'm asking you, if you listen on Apple or Spotify, if you could hit follow. If you listen on YouTube, then hit that subscribe button. It means that I can reach out to even more guests, bring even more actionable advice that can help you in your business. Next guest today is Martin Booth from the Corner Bakery. Now, if you've been following me on Dig Mama, Dig for Success and social media awards, you'll hear me talk about Martin a lot. I work with Martin in loads of projects, but Martin has been the title partner of the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards for the past 2 years, and that's a great feeling for us because he came back and there's reasons why he did, and just because I think it's important that whenever people are thinking about events that they understand what the sponsorship and partnership element of an event looks like and what it needs to be in order to be successful and positive for both parties. So Martin agreed to come on the podcast today. Martin's Corner Bakery is based in Mid-Ulster. He's got Cookstown and he's got a new sit-in in Maherfeld. So if you're ever driving through either of those towns, look out for the Corner Bakery. Bread is in the breed, is in his strapline, and business is in the breed with him. He's here today and he's going to talk to us all about sponsorship for event and what that actually means. So thank you for being on the Dig podcast again.
No
Second
problem.
time. So we have Martin's full interview on the podcast, and I'll actually link it on the show notes for people to go back and listen to Martin's story. But Martin, we're here today to talk about the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards and kind of give the listener an insight into what a successful partnership looks like and what people who are organising events should be thinking about when they're partnering up with someone. Do you want to maybe just give us a wee brief overview about that?
Thanks for having me. I think it's really important to actually sponsor things and become involved to help get your brand out there. I think a lot of businesses have a poor perception of sponsorship. They feel that they won't get value from it, and I would put that back to the business to ensure that actually they set out to achieve what they want to achieve from the partnership. And a fantastic place to start with that is the contract, to list out, what are the objectives that need to be achieved from the sponsorship, and list them out, and then from those objectives, if the event and yourselves agree, okay, how are we going to achieve them? That could be like, is there a campaign in the run up to the event? What is required from the event organisers? What is required from the businesses? And does it align? Does it meet the business needs? And will it help put the business out in a good light within the event. I got a lot of questions the first time I went to the social media awards and became title partner. Like, Martin, what are you going to get from that? You know, social media awards. And I think it's great that actually every business can benefit from the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, because, you know, everyone should be on social. And it was just a really good way for me, having taken over the business, to help springboard that brand and showcase that actually we're a home bakery of over 70 years, but actually we are getting social. We want to get the name out there, and the social media awards were fantastic for that.
And if people are organising their own events and they're reaching out to sponsors, what would you say to the event organizer to try to ensure that they get the right sponsors for their event, and that they're actually achieving for the sponsor what the sponsor needs? What would you say to the event organisers? You know, I think that maybe what I'm trying to say is people who are organising events maybe perhaps don't realise what it takes to make that partnership really work. So you've talked about the contract at the start. Is there anything else that person should be doing?
Absolutely. I don't think you should focus on the evening of the event. I think it's, you know, what is going to happen in the run up to the event to maximise the return on investment. Because if you just focus, okay, you're going to get a table of 10, you're going to have your brand on all artwork and print and whatever's there, how is the brand going to get out there? So it's really, really important that actually you think of, you know, the people entering, the people judging, you know, what business is supporting it? How can you get the brand out there? And, you know, that's really important for me, that actually, when are you coming to see me? What are we going to do? How can we showcase the life of the business as opposed to the actual night of the event? Because if I look at it for me, the night of the awards is probably the least important thing for me. Although I'm going to be very conscious of actually where's my brand positioned on table cards, on the backdrop, on trophies. You know, that's all very important. But for me, I'm looking actually, how can I attract a wider audience that knows about the Corner Bakery before the event, so that when they walk into the room, oh, there's that bakery in Mid-Ulster that Caroline was talking about, or such and such was talking about. So it's just about, you know, subconsciously getting into people's minds. And for me, that is very, very important, that you have those conversations with the organiser and really focus on, you know, what are we going to do in the lead up to showcase the businesses. And I don't even think, you know, if you're a title sponsor / partner, or if you're a category sponsor, you know, it's all very important to show how your brand is being maximised and, you know, shown off.
Exactly, and I suppose this is a good conversation for both the sponsor, so a business that might be thinking about sponsoring an event. I'm not talking about the awards or anything like that, I'm just talking about in general. If there's a local thing going on you want to sponsor it, it's actually, there's a great responsibility on you as well as the event organiser, because there's only so much event organisers can do and support, but you need to be proactive, and you are. Like, you'll say
at times,
I know you are, you're like, yeah, we could do this, and what about doing this? And I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And he's like, Martin's unreal, he was ringing and he's saying, what, let's do this. And I think for partnerships and sponsorships to work and to be really successful for both people, it needs to be that. Otherwise it's just a name on a board and it means nothing.
Yeah, no, that's very, very important. And it's really, really important for the business to, you know, to use the campaign when it's right for you. Like, for example, we haven't maximised the full offering from the social media awards because it wasn't right for our business in Q3. So we have had the discussion that actually Q4 is our busiest time of year, and most families, most households will benefit from our product. And then, so we've decided that actually, in agreement with the social media awards, that actually we'll push our campaign to Q4, because that's when we're going to yield a return on investment. And, you know, you guys have kindly agreed. So just when you're having the conversations with the event organisers, you know, it's a two-way process. You know, negotiate, discuss. You know, the event organiser's going to do what's right for the awards, and you need to do what's right for your business. So 9 times out of 10, you will come to some sort of an agreement, and you can set a really good plan campaign around the sponsorship to maximise it, because just don't look at it as one night. Look at it as a 2-3 month process that actually it's your opportunity to get your brand in front of so many people.
Yes, and actually with the social media awards, we launch in May and it actually doesn't happen to October, and then as you said, we've lengthened the campaign again. So there's ways for people to get the most out of it. Very hard to run events, absolutely impossible without sponsors. So I think that everybody listening needs to think about the both sides of the element. If you're a person that wants to sponsor an event, think about how you can maximise it, and then if you're a person that's looking to reach out to people to sponsor, you need to be thinking about the most you can offer them that aligns with both of you. So it's a conversation. I think what it needs is open, honest conversation, and that's what we do well. Is here. What do you
absolutely.
need, Martin? And I say, well, we can do this, and you're like, yeah, that's brilliant. Can you do this too? And I'm like, yes, we can do that. So it takes that for it to work.
No, 100%.
And I think everybody that's organising events, like, great things can happen in partnerships, and gone are those days of I sponsored it and I got nothing out of it. If you get nothing out of it, it's because you didn't put the work in and the event organiser didn't.
Absolutely, and it's, I think, just to finish up on the how your business can get from it. When you see an event that you feel like I could sponsor that, have a think about actually what can your business do for that event that's going to showcase your business in a positive light. And when you think of bakery, well, you would think, well, what can they do? So last year we done our sausage roll baps that actually was a talking point around that, and everyone at midnight when they've had a few drinks, like a snack, and it was absolutely perfect. This year for the starter we done the dough balls, and it was a talking point, which then we ran a competition for everyone there to win a pizza oven. So it was just a great tie that actually people can do that. And then when you're on the stage giving your keynote address as the title sponsor, think about actually what is the message that you want to share there. How can you put your brand out there in a positive light, as opposed to yes, it's important to thank people, and people really don't care at that point about the history of your business. It's about getting out the clear message about what they've got in front of them. So for me, it was about the dough balls and the soda pizzas this year, and that's what I talked about to reaffirm the message of the corner bakery, keeping it short and snappy, because they don't care how many staff I have on the evening. It's talking about actually what
they're going
to get from you, and it just emphasises your brand from them.
So you can hear from Martin that he understands the concept of marketing very well. That's his background, and but I think that I think there's great things can happen whenever people do come together like this.
Oh, absolutely.
And don't close your mind. If you've closed your mind to partnering with local events or local whatever, maybe this will maybe start you to think that actually you have to do your bit as well as the person that's organising for it to be a great success. So thank you for being the title partner of NISMA 2023. We've got great things planned for the next couple of months. And without your support, Martin, it couldn't have been the amazing event that it was. So I would just want to thank you on behalf of Neve and I. And if anybody has any questions, where can they find you, Martin? On
yes,
socials and online?
On all social media platforms is at Corner Bakery NI.
There you are. Check him out there, and he's always very good at replying. And if you're ever going through Mid-Ulster, you certainly look out for his premises. And he's stocked in over 100 shops in Northern Ireland, so you'll see the bread is in the breed branding on Corner Bakery as well. Thank you so much, Martin.
No worries.
Our next guest is Oisin O'Brien from Visual Specdrum Studio. Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of Visual Specdrum Studio, but if you haven't, where have you been? These guys are unbelievable. So they supported us with the lighting element of the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. And if you were there, you will know. Lighting has such a huge effect on an event. And I suppose Neve and I have learned that over the past, since 2019, since doing the Social Media Awards. It's evolved so much for us and so important for us. But we never could have envisaged what Visual Specdrum did for us on the night. So I really wanted Oisin to come on the podcast and talk to you guys about what they do and how perhaps you could utilise someone like them or a business like theirs in your events or your productions or whatever it may be that you're working on. To hear what they do is unbelievable. So thank you for being on the Dig podcast, Oisin. First time you've been on a podcast, you told me?
I believe so, yeah.
So thank you for being here. And Oisin, tell people what is Visual Specdrum.
So Visual Specdrum produces a range of different large-scale events. basically from anything from large-scale tourist-led projection mapping installations, large-scale lighting installations to, corporate events, award shows, and then we do a lot of dance music. We spent the full summer designing stages for festivals, delivering visuals for festivals. We work with festivals like AVA Festival, Electric Picnic. We do a number of different Irish festivals. We are the lead designer for a festival in Barcelona called Duro Festival, which was like 17,000 people at the end of September. So we do a range of different event production, largely in the lighting and visual design space.
And Oisin's agreed to be an actual guest on the podcast someday, because we nearly didn't get started on this because he was telling me all the things he's done and the scale the company has grown to, his company, and it's unbelievable. And actually, for anybody, just to give them a wee bit of context, if you've ever been to Derry Halloween or went to Derry on a tour, visit Derry. I would do a wee bit of work with them sometimes, Oisin, and if you've seen the walled city all lit up and the story of Derry, that's you guys.
Well, we did the Derry Illuminate project, which was last year, and then we actually have done a couple of Halloween shows, but we haven't been back since because we have been committed to another project called Lou Festival of Light, which takes place in Drogheda.
Okay.
So it's last year it was 3 locations. It was St Peter's Church, Lawrence's Gate, and the Old Abbey, and it told the stories of Irish mythology and legends from the local place. This year it's evolved to being 5 locations. So the 3 locations from last year, and then we're also doing this large water screen that a lot of the stories are based on the Boyne River, and a lot of the mythology is kind of rooted in the cosmos and the river. And we're doing this giant water screen that pumps water from the Boyne. It's going to be a 30 metre by 15 metre tall water screen with super bright projection, kind of telling the stories of the land rooted in Irish mythology, and kind of how they're inspired by both the stars and the water. So we've got that, and then we've got this LED lighting installation as well that takes place as part of the tour, and then there's a number of street performers. So we haven't done Derry Halloween for a while. We do have a good relationship with Derry Council, but at the moment we're just committed to another job.
I suppose I'm just using that as an example because that's where I've seen your work, and I'm always
Absolutely.
like, how do they do that? So if you are listening and you're a business or an organisation or a company and you want to bring your brand or your event to life, definitely Visuals Specdrum do that in the most innovative, forward-thinking. It's not artificial intelligence yet, but I mean,
to some extent. In the pre-production stages for the visual side of things, but I think that's a separate conversation with regards to AI and ethics. I think that's a separate rabbit hole that we could go down.
Yes, it is, but it feels not real is what I'm trying to say. When I watch it, I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So for the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards now, we didn't have anything as extreme as that, but it felt like we were in a different, I felt like I was in a different, kind of place than a hotel conference room. Yeah. Which is what you did. And a lot of people listening will be organising events within hotel spaces and spaces that they have to bring to life, Oisin.
Sure.
So what should people be thinking about that are organising events when it comes to lighting?
So I suppose there's a couple of points. Namely, what type of lighting are you using? What are the limitations of the hotel? So there's a couple of aspects there. What power does the hotel have? Do they allow you to use smoke or haze? Because if their fire alarms are set up a certain way, certain lighting won't work as well. Then you're also thinking about what screen you're using. Obviously how many people you're trying to cater for will inform that. And then what I would advise a lot of clients is start with what you can afford and then work back from there and have an honest communication with your supplier of this is what I think my budget is. What sort of package can we do for that? This is what I'm trying to achieve. And, at least then, when you're planning your event, you can budget it based on reality. And, by all means, speak to more than one supplier, but, certainly consider if you're trying to do an LED screen, obviously it's way more people that need to put it in than a projector, but then it's the impact of it. And then, to get a bit nerdy, then you're thinking about like how it's going to look on camera. Every event is so media driven now. So you're thinking about, even for instance, to give an example of the NI Social Media Awards, one of the things that we were doing was like checking how the screen looked on a phone camera because we knew most of the people were going to obviously be taking videos for social media. Because the Crown Plaza has a limitation on the use of haze, one of the directions that we did was the LED strip around the profile of the stage and around the profile of the DJ, because that's going to work with or without haze. So you're thinking about like your eye candy features that are going to like just lend themselves well to camera, whether or not you have smoke. Whereas like like a moving head beam, you don't really have the full impact of it unless you have a bit of haze to catch the light. So it really comes down to what the use case is and how much you want to fight with the hotel about wanting to use smoke. Obviously, if it's a no-go, then you just go down the route of like what's going to look good without it, which is the direction that we took with your event.
And which Neve and I have no clue about, and we took your lead on. So, for example, the team, like what Oisin, there's a lot of technical things there he talked about, but they put like strip coloured LED type lighting around the stage and the DJ box, which meant when the lights were down, that was all lit up, and it just brought that real interactive kind of element to the awards and made people go wow. And then on their phones, as you say, that was all what they were capturing, and it just created the impact for the awards that Neve and I wanted, but obviously couldn't have done that without your expertise. So I suppose Visual Spectrum do things very differently and innovatively, and always thinking about how to stand out. Isn't that what you guys are doing?
Yeah, we put a lot of energy into that for sure, and we're always learning. We're always like traveling out to trade shows to see what's the new latest lighting and visual technology. So it's definitely something we're really passionate about. Is trying to be the best in our space and trying to learn as much as possible.
Yes, and just for lighting, if you are organising an event, obviously there's different budgets, like you talked about. If people come to you with a budget, I think it's open and honest conversation, isn't it, from the start?
Absolutely.
Like you said, like obviously you do a lot and have a lot of equipment there, but there will be smaller events listening, and I suppose what you've said, liaising with the hotel, thinking about what money you have to set, thinking about who needs lit up, speakers, we talked about that.
Yeah, and thinking about like how many dynamic lighting positions you need, because obviously if you have a lot of speakers to light or a lot of different, for instance with your show, you had the dancers that came on to the dance floor, as part of that intro performance. So even though there was a core speaker podium position, there was also, other positions. So for us, having those lighting positions and having moving lights that could capture multiple ones allowed us to, be versatile with a small enough lighting package, So it obviously just comes down to what you're trying to capture and illuminate.
Yeah, so good luck with your lighting on your next project. Definitely follow. Where can people follow Visual Spectrum?
So you'll find us on Instagram, Visual Spectrum Studio, or you can find us online at visualspectrum.studio.
And I was on your website last night. That's where I got intrigued with the whole illuminating walls and the all the visual stuff that they do. It's unreal. If you go down a rabbit hole, I had to remember that I had a purpose on that website to research Oisin. Yeah. But yes, thank you to Visual Spectrum for making the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards the amazing event that it was, and we can't wait to work with you again next year.
Yes, perfect.
Our next guest on the Dig podcast is Bradley Henderson. If you don't know, you want to know. He is the best crack, but also unbelievable at his job. Bradley is the director of Bradley Shoots, as well as a lot of other businesses as well, but he is the photography element for NISMA. So it's really important to us, and Bradley knows this, that the photographs reflect our event, as with everybody's, and I think sometimes you can be disappointed, and it can be for loads of different reasons that you are, and that's what we're going to talk about today, to make sure that you are capturing photography that reflects the key purpose of your event. Ours was that it was innovative, fun, forward thinking, that it was the best crack with the great vibe. That's what we wanted from our photography for the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards, and that's what we got. And there's reasons for that because of communication and all of that. So we have Bradley here today, sitting right beside me. We nearly have talked that much before we come on that I'm running out of space.
I think we're done. Yeah, that's right. This isn't even recording.
It is recorded, but Bradley, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being the photographer at the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. What do people need to be thinking about when it comes to photography for their event, Bradley?
Well, I think it's really important, and you guys will have known this from running this a couple of times, that it's not just enough to go, right, well, we've got a photographer and that's that sorted, we'll have photos. It's important to kind of plan, well, what's the vision for these? What are these photos even for? Are we just, society says you have to have a photographer at these things, so let's just book one and that's the job done. it's about having a plan about, well, who are these photos of primarily, and what are we going to do with them? Photos now, especially in an event like your own, are like currency. You know, they become so much more. You know, once your event finishes, it only lives in the memories of the people who were there, of what memory they may have left of some of them for on these kind of social events. But it's important that the event is captured and the photos reflect what happened on the day or on the evening. And then you have a plan as to, right, well, how are we going to reinvigorate the fun and the kind of the vibe of that evening? How are we going to reinstill and get people excited about this event again? So, you know, you're already talking, and we've already discussed about, you're already in the process of planning next year. And those photos, all the different pieces of media that the boys from BNL have provided, and the photos that we'll have put together, are all the start of the building blocks of getting people excited about the next event, and about, you know, the currency element comes that you're paying back to all the different people who helped you out. You're paying all the little people who involved and were passionate about it by showing a little picture of them. There's a picture I bet you didn't know exist. You know, there's one of the tables that was to my left as I was standing at the stage.
Ooh and ah cookies.
Ooh and ah did nothing but cheer and whoop and hug and hug. I'm Swedish. cheer and hug, and embrace each other all evening, even if, you know, local tables, you know, tables around them want something. And I just felt like I am just gonna, you know, I know no matter what happens in this room, these people are gonna react. And there's some lovely photos of those folks at those tables just hugging and embracing and celebrating their wins and their runner-up places, and even getting served spuds. They hugged each other and smiled. But yeah, having an idea about what you want to do with the photos, having a plan. What I find really, really effective in things that we've done in the past is having a plan for distributing photos the next day, the day after, so that people wake up, or they you know, before the memory or the idea or the fun of the event is gone and out of their head, that they're starting to relive it and starting to relive the photos.
So I think that it's important that if you are planning, don't just take it for granted that your photographer is going to know your mission really, or your purpose for these photos. So communication from the very start. Like, we had a Zoom call late at night that went on longer than it should have, for hours and hours, because we were having the crack. But basically, you need to be saying, right, like, this is what we said to Bradley. Like, Bradley, we want you to capture, like we've just said, all the lifestyle element to the event, all the fun, the crack, and then we use those in marketing campaigns afterwards. They went out really quickly afterwards, so people could get them themselves in an online gallery. So sometimes people capture the photos, as you say, but they have no plan for distribution, and it can just fall like a waste of money as well.
And they just sit, and
yes.
they'll just sit, and it's too late this time, you know, in 11 months' time, whenever you're starting to you know, go through and start to reinvigorate this again, it's too late to post them then, because people are like, oh, we were at that, weren't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They need kind of drip fed, and they need kind of used, and they need kind of populated, and they need to go and have their own little life, because if they're good and they've captured the moment and captured the feeling of an evening, people will share them. They'll go, I don't want to say viral, but people will share them and share them and share them, and they'll get their own little life, you know.
Any other tips, Bradley, for people that are thinking about what they should be considering with photography for their event?
Having a kind of theme, you know, as we said there a little bit about, you know, it's okay to just want a picture. You know, you don't have to have this super crazy fireworks confetti event, and that doesn't have to be everything. Sometimes it's just about getting a nice, crisp shot of what happened, of the people that were there. That's what a lot of what those guys at Press Eye will do. They do a lot more than that, but on the evening they were fantastic about just getting a good picture of who was there and knowing where that's going, nearly like a shot list. So I mean, I kind of run off knowing from what happened last time and how things are going to happen, but being able to know what's going to happen, and things won't always go exactly according to plan and what time they said they were going, or even in what order they said they were going to happen, but having some sense of idea about what's going to happen, where people will be, what the kind of energy like will be in that moment, and who it relates to. So part of your event was knowing about what was being announced on stage, the excitement in the face of the people announcing that, and trying to preempt, right, where's that going to create a reaction amongst the room. So when Annette was like, oh, I love these people, it's like, right, who does Annette love? Other than everyone. That doesn't narrow it down much. But being able to kind of preempt where that's coming from. So a good shot list, a good idea of what you want. If there are other people involved, other key players involved in your event, for example, the folks who made these lovely awards, people who have maybe sponsored little centerpieces, things for the tables. If there's anyone else been involved, as I say, it comes back to the currency of your photos. Having nice, good pictures of all the things that have made your event up, knowing who the key players are in that event, and being able to provide you with nice images that you can then go, oh, I'm so glad I have stuff for these folks to show them this award, the award that they've created for us, to show them the backdrop they've created for us, to show them the gorilla suits they wore.
Yeah,
that's a niche example, but
yes,
but
for sure. And you know, people maybe perhaps who haven't seen the value in the photography before, because everything's on social media.
Yeah.
And this is ironic because it's Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. But I mean, that's your content for the next God knows how long. So definitely, if you are running an event, photography is key for longevity and exposure afterwards, I believe. Working with someone like you makes it easy because you're creative and you know the crack, and plus, as somebody else said in the previous conversations, when you've done it a few years in a row, and you stick to the same providers, it becomes more easier and seamless because you know our vision. So where can people find out the crack? Everybody's going to be like, where does this dude hang out now, Bradley?
Sure.
Shoots? How can they find you, Bradley?
I'm very active on Instagram, Bradley Shoots with the underscore, I think.
Yeah.
I'm tagged on a lot of the stuff that you'll see on the NISMA, the stuff, and bradleyshoots.co.uk is our website. We do lots of different crazy things, and love every one of them.
Definitely do, and I'm going to put on the show notes all the links to Bradley's business as well. Thank you for coming, Bradley.
My
Always
pleasure.
the best crack. You're swinging around that chair there.
It's fun.
Like, Bradley, stop swinging. Stop swinging. But it's a pleasure to have you, and always great to work with you on the Northern Ireland Social Media.
Likewise.
My next guest is Chris Rooney, Director of Champagne Memories. So Chris and the team worked with us on the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards for the styling element, and if you were there, you'll know when you walked into the room, I remember it just sort of took my breath away. Everything that they had done didn't give that impact when you walk in, and it's so important for an event that first impressions count. And that was really, really important to us. So working with Champagne Memories was unbelievable because the inventory of stuff that they had, like hire items, was unreal. Like, we just gave them our vision and our mood board, and they created our reality, as in they made our dream become a reality when it came to the styling element of the event. And it's so important. So if you're thinking about running an event or thinking about bringing your vision to life within your business, definitely this type of styling is really, really important. So Chris, I have you here beside me. First podcast, yes?
Yes, first time.
So I had B&L Productions in. I don't know if they're going to be running them before you or after you. And Nick was like, oh, I wouldn't be used to this crack now.
No,
so
definitely not.
but you're no bother talking. So I said, just pretend you're just talking to me. So Champagne Memories, Chris, how long have you been doing this?
I started 14 years ago. So we started off with champagne fountains, and then just over time we've gradually built and built. So now we're into hiring chairs, bars, lots of different features now.
So everything, just to give people context, everything that we said to you, oh, I'd love to do this, you're like, yeah, no problem, we can do that. And I remember saying to Neve, is there anything them boys don't do or don't have? And so it was unreal to have that kind of scope, because you could create our vision board, So what would you say to people who are thinking of running an event? What's the first things they should think of when it comes to styling an event or reaching out to someone like you? What should they be thinking about?
Well, if you have a bit of a vision on what you like, so if you come to us and say, look, this is exactly what you've done. So you come to us and say, well, this is what we're thinking. Then we go, well, what about this? And we have this, and this could work. So it's good whenever you have a bit of a vision as well, and then we'll just run with it.
Yeah, so to give an example, when we went to Chris, we were like, chairs, we don't really want chair covers. And you said, what about these beautiful new black chairs that you had? And then you said, so we gave him Chris a mood board that Neve and I had created for a vision for the event, and you could see that futuristic look and kind of everything different. And then you said, can you remember about the you said, what about mixing and matching?
Yeah, it's like you see things on Instagram and you're looking at the future, or like over in America, the way they're changing things. So it's trying to get away from like the chair covers and make it a bit more glamorous. If a nice chair, it does set it when you go in.
Yeah.
So, to
So
me,
we mixed, you suggested us, we would never have been suggesting it because we didn't know, to mix the black, like ghost chair, is that what you call that? Or
yeah,
the black chair?
the black Napoleon chair and the ghost chair.
And the ghost chair. So the ghost chair is like the Perspex one, and it just gave that real difference. So one table was that, and the next table was the other one, and that styling element is why you guys are great, because we never would have thought of mixing it up.
It's just that because it also made the room look bigger. See the Perspex chair, as you can see through it. So you're going into the room with near 500 people. It didn't look so cramped because you can see through. If you've 500 chairs with chair covers, to me it sort of that fills the room.
Yes.
So to me it looked a bit more spacious and it looked the part.
Yes, it did look the part, and so whenever people are going to look at a venue, it's really important to kind of have a site visit with people like you, isn't that right? Talk to us about that.
So you can walk through, because then we can see, once you go into the venue, you can go, well, what about maximising this space, having something here. To me it's all about, you know, feature for when your guests walk in, they go, oh, that was an experience, there's another experience. So you're making it memorable for them. So whenever you walk up to the end of the room, you go, right, there's a drinks reception, or you've got something lit up. No, just a feature wall to stand in front of, get your photos. So it's just creating different feature or different experiences.
Yes, and lots of people who run events, Chris, they love their business, but they're not an events styling person. So your expertise is what we need. So when we did the site visit with you, you said, right, well, there's a big space there. What could we do there that's going to make your guest have a better experience, like you've just said? So you were making Neva, I think, outside the box. So I think it's really important, if you are planning an event, and you have a budget for styling. Do you want to talk about budget? Is it important?
Budgets are important. You need to have, if you have a figure, it's easier for us as well. So if you come to us and say, look, I've got X amount to spend, then we can work within your budget. There's no point in us throwing everything at it, and then you go, whoa, this is way more than what we were thinking. So if someone comes, same with weddings, we'll say to people, look, come to us with your vision or your budget, and then we'll say, well, look, we've got this, we've got that, and you can look at things that cost less, but you can do a lot more with them. So it's just trying to work with people and do what they, create what they're thinking.
Yes, and is there any other tips that you would give people whenever you're thinking of the styling element?
Make it personal about yourself. Don't say you've got some that you're into. You've got some like what you've dreamt of. You've visioned before. Go with it. There's loads of different wee things you can do. So if you come to us and say, this is what I like. So someone getting married, they're going like, I want a Peaky Blinders theme. You go, right, well then you start looking at you look into that program. Go, right, what about doing like a whiskey bar, doing this or that? So you're trying to make it personal for them, so they can go back and their guests also know what they're into as well. So then they go, for that's very them as well.
Oh, I love that idea. Peaky Blinders, whiskey bar. So is
I'm
that
saying
like a thing?
Someone came to me about that at the weekend, so that's in my head fresh.
Oh, I love that idea.
You get loads of different, like we get asked for all sorts.
And is that, I think what's unique about your business is if you don't have it, you can nearly make it happen. Like you'll source it, you'll create it, you'll get it made, isn't that right?
We have loads of different contacts, and we work with a lot of different companies as well, so we can go like recommend people, say they go, this is what they want. If we don't have it, we'll say, but this is someone that can do that for you, and we recommend them because we know they're reliable and they're good. Yeah,
so for the social media awards, you guys did the chairs for us, different, and actually afterwards somebody reached out to us and said, where'd you get your black tablecloths? This is the things people notice, isn't it, that you wouldn't think. So I was able to direct them on to you. So you did beautiful black, like velour type velvet tablecloths, a gorgeous black and white checkered dance floor. What else did you do for us, Chris? A flooring underneath, which was actually really, really good. The photo backdrop, so to create that kind of image of continual backdrop that it didn't hit the carpet. You guys did a lovely black shiny floor for there, which was your idea. I wouldn't even have thought of it. Also the
360 booth.
360 booth. So
that's interactive for your guests. So it's something they go back and then they can go online and see all those videos and the photos of it after.
Yes, so that was really, really good. And it was loads of things. Neve and I, we were so focused on just making the event great inside. You brought loads of elements to the outside of the room as well, which is so, so important. Where, Chris, can people find out more about Champion Memories and what's going on and all the new things to the market?
Well, we put most of our stuff onto our Instagram page, so Champion Memories 1 on Instagram, and then on Facebook, and our website is www.championmemories.co.uk. So we put like our brochures and things, but we're always updating. So like every month we're getting new stuff in. So it's.
And how soon do people need to be getting in touch if they do have an event, say like our size, or like, I mean, does people book a lot in advance?
The more in advance the better, because then if you come to us with different ideas and we need to get it, it gives us a bit of time, you know, to get it made. Same as weddings, you know, if we've only got a certain amount of different features, so if they come in, give us a year's notice.
Yeah.
Events is shorter thing because you don't plan your events that soon, but
Yeah.
the sooner the better for
Yeah.
us.
So
Just gives us more time to think about it and plan it and things like that.
What you're saying is, tell me now what you're looking for the social media awards next
Yeah.
year, because no one knows, God knows what it could be. But it's so good to know that you can just create our vision, and you definitely did that for this year. And I want to thank you for being a partner for the
Yeah,
Northern Ireland Social
thanks
Media
for having
Awards.
us.
And hopefully, anybody that's listening, if you do need advice on the styling element for your event, you've now heard of Chris and Champion Memories, and it's definitely someone that you can reach out to. Next guest is Steve Simpson from Yo DJ. I feel like we're ready to party when Steve walks in the building. Everything goes out the window and you're like, hit the tune, Steve. But he's here today to talk about entertainment. So Yo DJ, like, they're fast becoming Ireland's leading, most sought after DJ crew, and we're so lucky we have them for the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. They've been part of the whole event for the past 2 years, and really wouldn't feel the same if they weren't there. I feel they do DJ, live sax, percussion, and they just love good music, and they love the crowd to be loving life the whole night, and that's why we love working with them. But Steve, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nesta.
Entertainment wise, Steve, like, it's a big thing. Like, people go to events to be entertained.
Yeah.
So what is the whole concept of UDJ?
So UDJ is an entertainment solution for, when it comes to corporate, we want to turn it on its head, because the format's been the same for so many years. People are coming in and it's a band or whatever the normal sort of format is, or a single DJ on their own. And what we like to do is sit with the client and work out what their sort of inspiration is for their event, what their theme is, and then suggest ideas where we can bring in, whether it's music, whether it's, you know, suggesting production for the AV team, but really just being a brand partner rather than just being the hired help to come in and play a bit of music. And what happens there is everybody gets involved and everybody gets excited about the event, and you come up with really interesting things like the mini rave is now yours.
Oh, good. We own that.
Yeah, the mini rave. So mini rave, we introduced the first year we did the awards for you, and basically it's a 5-minute bit of crack, big banger tune that you put on just after dessert or before dessert, just to shake the cobwebs off everybody. But all of a sudden, it just creates another dose of energy and adrenaline in the room. But as the night goes on, what's unusual for ourselves is we'll format the night with you as the client, and even during the meal we're DJing, so we'll bring the tempo gradually up so that the audience don't even realise it. And that's why your awards are different than everybody else's. Come the last awards, everybody can't wait to get up and start dancing. We're there. Our warm-up set started 3 hours before, when people are walking in for their drinks. So for any corporate client out there that is looking for an entertainment solution and maybe needs a bit of inspiration, that's where our experience of 20 years of working in the industry, but UDJ's only been going 3 years since COVID, but it's just an amalgamation of all the experience of the team to deliver something that's totally different. So.
And what would you say to people who have maybe the traditional mindset about entertainment for events, but how to shake things up a bit? So talk about the mini rave. Is there anything else people can do?
Well, it's, like all the good ideas, they sound like common sense whenever you come up with them, but we looked at formats of sort of American TV hosts, and Ellen DeGeneres always had a band or an in-house DJ, and we thought, right, well, why don't we do that? So when we do a UDJ awards event, we'll be set up on the stage and we'll bounce off your compares or your guests, and we'll drop the music and scratch. And because all the team in UDJ, especially the DJs, we're all professional DJs, I should say, with years of club experience, we can scratch, we can drop samples,
it's very dynamic. It's not just somebody pressing start and stop. So you have this whole live element, and because we're interacting with the crowd, clapping, getting the whole audience going, it just creates a more interesting view for the audience. There's something to watch, not just the awards. So that was a great success, and again, you guys were the first to trust us on that, and as a format, I think it's the way things are going to have to go, because the old traditional stuffy corporate awards, you know, you want to get customers coming back, or clients coming back the next year buying tickets and knowing that it's an amazing party to go to.
Yeah. It has to be an experience, doesn't it? Like, you can't be sitting bored. But what about, like, people who are listening that perhaps don't have the budget for going for the bigger kind of sets and shows? Is there any way that they can, you know, think outside the box when it comes to their entertainment for their event?
Totally. You know, just work within your means, I think, is the main thing. And, you know, just, you know, put your own personality into it and try not to look at others. You know, there's absolutely no point in somebody looking at your event and going, I want to do that, because what are they going to do next year? You know, you're better if you can surround yourself with people who are really good at what they do and listen, and they will give you information for free, because they love to let them know about they love to let you know about their experiences. And yeah, you know, come up with simple stuff. Like we've done some amazing stuff. Like the first year, with one of the courses had the dry ice, so we had classical music coming on. It was an immersive experience. That didn't cost any money really to do, apart from the dry ice, the music. So the music and lighting, it's going to be there anyway, and just with a wee bit of effort and a wee bit of programming and you know, look at your award winners, you know, pick records that relate to them rather than just being generic music. That's whenever you'll grab people's attention. And yeah, just wee bit of thought. Part of our experience, to keep on going back to, was whenever we were club DJs for 15 years, 20 years, our first event that we would always do, trust me, you lose money on it, and that's not a bad thing, because you have the content for next year or for the next event. So, you know, to anybody, if you are planning to get into events, or if it's a promotional event for your shop, or if it's whatever it is, that first one, just go the extra mile, because it means the next time you go to sell tickets, you'll have the content for one, which is high-end, you know, amazing images of people playing and all the rest, plus you have the customers that you blew away the last time that will want to buy. So you're already halfway there, if not 3/4 of the way there. So yeah, invest in your first one, surround yourself with people that know what they're doing. And it is hard whenever you look at budgets and all the rest, and you know, it's testament to the AB company that you use. They're one of the best in the industry, so you know you can relax about the sound. It's going to be fine. And the same with ourselves. You know, we'll always be probably over, you know, hyper, whatever you would call it. We're looking to over cautious, look at the detail, But at least you can relax, going, well, they've got that sorted, so you can get on with actually enjoying the event.
Yes.
But that's a privileged place to be in, where you've got budget, and you know. But ideally, that's where you want to end up. Don't try and do everything yourself.
See, where can people follow the glamour and drama of UDJ? How can they find out more?
UDJ, the easiest one will be our Instagram page. So yo.dj is the handle. We also have our website, udj.com. So just to let you know what we do, we're not just corporate awards. We do everything from private hire for 30 people to private hire for 3,500. We did a 3,500 capacity event in Amsterdam for Booking.com. We've worked with Netflix. We've worked with Coca-Cola.
We need another podcast about this. I didn't know.
Plenty of stories, but all good. You know, we've been to Vegas. So, you know, we started off the backstory of time. We were all DJing in nightclubs. COVID came, all the nightclubs were closed, and then I started doing live streams on YouTube. And all of a sudden, there's 15,000 people on bank holiday, tuned in, all drinking, sending messages, you know, loving it. And I realised people enjoy this at home. At that point, there was no travel. And then you're allowed to have 30 people in a private setting. And myself, DJ Tez and Gareth Ainsworth got together, and we created the tropical DJ box, the palm trees, and then we brought them to you know, high net worth earners houses who couldn't get away on holiday that wanted Ibiza at their house. And if you go through our Instagram page, you'll see all the videos from way back then. There's some amazing houses, some amazing clients. And then wedding season started, and we'd never done weddings before. So we were like, okay, we're these, you know, what we thought were uber cool DJs, how are we going to do weddings? And we realised that there was a gap in the market where we could continue playing the music that we always play and avoid the wedding music. Maybe the odd wee tickle if somebody wanted it, that we will always stick to what the customer wants. But we were able to totally turn weddings on their head, where the clients now that are getting married, they don't go and listen to wedding bands at the weekend. They go to Ibiza, or they go to clubs, and they like certain music. So every time we get an inquiry from a bride, she's like, I want to avoid the stereotypical wedding DJ. So for us, it's a really nice thing. And then obviously private hire for anybody that wants it. So we can do a party for 30, or we can do a party for 3,500.
There you go. Everybody's listening. It's not just work you're thinking of now. They're like, when's our next big event?
Yeah, and we've see in our stories we've palm trees, and we can create a space with very little effort, and we've got our neons and confetti cannon and all that sort of stuff. But it's the energy and it's the love, and we don't stop when we're playing. We're dancing as much as the audience.
I can vouch for that. We were dancing late into the night at the social media awards. But thank you for being here, Steve. Thank you for being part of the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. You're what helps sprinkle the magic on it, and so easy to work with as well. It gives a wee bit more insight just to how it works for an event like ours anyway. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
So there you have it. The Northern Ireland Social Media Awards Ultimate Event Planner Guide. Now there's lots there that we didn't have included, like venue is so important, your host is so important, the dynamics of the night, you know, there's lots of things you could delve deep into, but that's just a general overview. If you're thinking of planning an event, key things that you need to look at. If you have any questions at all, Niamh and I are always here. Like, we want to support other people that want to do great things as well in the event space, in the award space, whatever it may be. You only learn from other people, and that's why we thought it was really, really important to do the podcast, because there could just be a key person there that could help you move forward with your vision and your dream. Because actually in 2019 this was only a small idea, and now it's huge, making ripple effects across the business community and the social media space. And Niamh and I just love doing it, and love the fact that we get to just work with all them amazing businesses that you've just heard. So thank you for listening to the Dig podcast in partnership with the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards.